Hey, Johnny's Cheap. I make a lot of pizzas at home, and sometimes I use a pre-made crust, and sometimes I make my own. I have a great recipe for a really cracker-like thin crust that gets really, really crispy. And I think the secret is because it has shortening, or Crisco. But it's really basic, it's really easy. Here's how you make it. Mrs. Cheap said, you always show this crust and you just get it out of the freezer, just don't show making it. So I'm gonna show you how to make it. This is pizzeria style. 3.5 cups of flour, all-purpose flour. I add 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I need to add some yeast. I think it's a package, but I use it out of here, so it comes out to 2.25 teaspoons. So I'm just gonna do 2 and then just, a little bit more. Putting it in the KitchenAid. And a tablespoon of Crisco. That's going in along with 1 cup of, warm to hot water. Don't want to kill the yeast, but you want to set it off. So it's about 110, 115 degrees. And that's it. Put it in the KitchenAid and get that dough hook on. You
don't proof the yeast before?
Nah, you don't need to. They don't do that at the restaurant. When they're doing the bulk stuff, they just mix it all up. So I'm just gonna put it in on low, put my ingredients and dirty dishes away while this baby does all the work. At the restaurant, they use that big Hobart machine, and they use like 16 cups of flour or more than that. They go by like the bags of flour and gallons of water. But this will make 3 just like decent sized, probably medium sized thin crust pizzas. And the dough freezes great too. We always do that because we never eat 3 pizzas in a row or anything. So we're just gonna let this go until it gets fully incorporated. We'll need to knock the sides down a little bit, but just let it knead. We're kneading the dough. Scrape the sides down a little bit. The KitchenAid does most of the work, but sometimes you get a little flour up there.
Could you use a spatula instead of a knife?
You could. This is just what I had handy. I'm sorry. Metal on metal. Not a good thing. No. And I mean, that looks really layered and separated, but it'll come together and pull down all the stuff from the sides. You just let it go for a while. We're about 3 or 4 minutes in. You can see it's starting to come together, starting to form a ball, getting it clean off the sides, and I'm just doing this on the lowest setting. Low and slow to knead the dough.
Well, because I know from bread, if you don't go low and slow, you have flour everywhere.
You will, yeah. That's why a lot of people have those guards over here. But
yeah.
Nah, not me. I live dangerously.
I think I need one of those.
No spilled flour on my counter. That's getting to form a nice ball right there. We're going to let it go for several more minutes.
About how many minutes long do you think?
I don't even know, just until it's all formed into a ball. It's going to be, probably 8 minutes, 7 to 8 minutes, so I guess. All right, we're about 6 to 7 minutes in, and as you can see, it's cleaned the sides of the bowl real well. It's balling up real well, so yeah, finish her up here. Once it gets all into one bowl. I love the way these kneading hooks. They remind me of the tilt-a-whirl at the fair. Remember the tilt-a-whirl? It's like you're spinning this way, but you're going around this way. And it's really, science and technology really impresses me.
They made me a little sick.
And it's better than doing it by hand. This will not make you sick.
No.
We're kind of all up in a bowl here, so I think we'll call that our kneaded pizza dough.
Okay, so it's pizza time.
Yeah, let's eat some pizza. Well, not quite yet. See how clean that is off the hook? That's our ball of dough right there. She's all ready. Now, I'd like to make pizza, but we gotta let it rise. So we just put a little olive oil in a big bowl, spread that around, coat the sides and the bottom. Now I like to do this in the oven the way my mama did it. You turn on the light in the oven, and that provides just enough heat to make it a nice warm spot for your dough to rise. So that's how I always do it. So we're gonna get our dough in here, and we're just gonna put it down like that to soak up a little oil, then flip it over. Just like that. Now we're gonna cover it and let it rise until it's, till it poofs up, like 1.5 to 2 hours. All right, so we're 2 hours in, and here we go, thin crust pizza dough.
Ta-da!
Well, it's pretty much doubled in size, I think. So now you get to like punch it down or whatever. I'm gonna just pull it out of the pan. I better get a little flour on the. So we're gonna roll it out here and we're gonna separate it because I'm gonna put it into 3s because we're gonna use a third of it tonight and we're gonna freeze the other 2/3. So, right? That's about a third. That's about a third. All right, look at that. I already have bags, thin crust pizza dough. So I'm gonna do these 2 into the bags, just give them a little flour, and you freeze them, and then when you wanna use them, you pull them out, you let them rise, thaw out and rise for a couple of hours, and that's your pizza dough, you roll it out. So I'm gonna get these set aside, and then we'll roll out our one we're gonna use right now. All right, so we got our 2 thin crusts set to go, and Mrs. Cheap brought up a question. She said if you were gonna do a non-thin crust, like just a, pan or hand tossed, would you use this dough? No, because this is very cracker crust-like. It's cracker-like thin crust. So I would not use this as a regular crust. I'm going to try and get it a little round here. We'll get those set aside, get them in the freezer. Like I say, they freeze great. You just thaw them out, let them rise a little, and roll them out, and it's a thin crust pizza. So we're just trying to get this. I'll flour up my rolling pin as a round thin crust pizza. Takes a little time, a little flipping, keep it floured, and it'll be a good sized pizza. Just keep flipping it. Get the other side, make sure it's floured.
Do you remember when Cheap Jr. was obsessed with stuffed crust pizzas?
Oh, buddy. We were in Chicago. I remember we were at Pizzeria Uno, like the original in Chicago. And
He was like 7, 8 years old.
And we ordered a deep dish pizza and he wanted a thin crust, but he was trying to tell the guy, I want it stuffed crust with, mozzarella in the crust. Here, he said, we don't have that. And Cheap Jr. said, well, here's how you make it. That's so much like me. I'm just rolling it out as thin as possible and trying to get it round. You want it to be round. It doesn't have to be perfect though. Go from the inside out like that. That's your best chance to get it round. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. Now I'm going to be doing this on a stone. I have the oven preheating at 425 on the stone. Also, these work great. You can use this for the crust as well, but it does need to get the extra exposure underneath. But instead of this, I'm going to use a stone. So here we go. That's pretty round, and we're about ready to go. So there's our thin crust pizza rolled out. I put it on parchment paper to go on our stone. It makes it a lot easier. We have a pizza playlist on how to put together pizzas and make pizzas because I've done a bunch of them because I love pizza. These are in the freezer. As I said, you just thaw them out, then let them rise for a couple of hours and roll them out, and they're perfect for later use. We're ready to have some pizza, finished product coming up. All right, so I'm calling that one done. super crispy, thin crust. I did this on a pizza stone. You can do it on the screen like I showed. You know, you could probably do it in a pan. It would be fine. Sausage and mushroom, and look at this. We're not gonna taste test it, but look, that's a super thin, crispy crust.
You just loaded up too much.
I know, and this is a bad thing. You gotta let it sit for a couple of hours. Thanks for watching.
Hours,
Or,
minutes.
I mean, it's a couple of minutes. Yeah. I'm messing with Mrs. Cheap.
Because I'm always hungry.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram,
Check out our playlist for pizza, linked in here.
Yeah, we have a playlist for pizza because we've done a bunch of pizzas, and I'm sure there's more to come. Thanks for watching. We're about to dig in. God, that looks awesome. Sausage and mushroom pizza.
I wish you looked at me like you look at that pizza.
Super crispy. I do, honey.
I love you.
Thanks for watching.